Christmas in the workshop is a specific kind of chaos. For 11 months of the year, we build what we want. But December is different. The deadline isn't negotiable. The orders come in, the pressure mounts, and suddenly you aren't just a woodworker anymore. You're a factory line manager who's constantly covered in glue. I set out this season with a plan to build 14 boards. 12 standard serving boards to fill in the gift list and 2 massive statement pieces. But the boards you see on the bench right now, these weren't the plan. These were the pivot. I started with a specific palette. Walnut for those deep chocolate notes, cherry for that burning red warmth, and oak mostly because I have a lot of it, but also because it provides a good structure. The original plan was ambitious. I wanted to create a complex 3D optical illusion. I spent days milling. I did the math, I cut the angles, I even glued up a proof of concept. And that's where the trouble started. I looked at this 3D prototype and I didn't love it. Technically, sure, it was impressive, but it felt wrong. It was hand-grained, which meant it was 50% wood and 50% glue. It felt rigid, and it had lost all its soul. So I stood there with a pile of walnut, cherry and oak, and I had to make a call. Do I push through with a design I hate just to prove I can do geometry, or do I start over? So I chose to pivot. I scrapped the 3D design and I decided to strip back to the basics. Simple, honest stripes. Sometimes we try to over-engineer things to show off our skill, when in reality the material just wants to be simple. But before I started the heavy milling, I did something else to change the mood in here. You might have noticed the walls. For years, this shop was white, and honestly, it was a disaster. White walls highlight every speck of dust and make me look messier than I actually am. So I renovated. I painted the shop using a technique called French wash. It creates this cloudy, textured, broken color look. I did it because I wanted to take the filmmaking part of this job a little bit more seriously. It breaks up the light, quiets the visual noise, and frankly, it just makes me feel 10% more artistic when I'm sweeping up the dust. With the walls done, I started with the infantry, the 12 smaller serving boards. Since I switched to a stripe design, that meant cutting strips. Hundreds of them. There wasn't any glamour here. It was just me, the table saw, and the realization that I have voluntarily turned perfectly good white boards into tiny skinny sticks, so I can just glue them back up together again. It's a strange hobby we have here. Then came the glue up. Gluing one board is relaxing. Gluing 12 is just panic management. You're racing against the glue's open time. Your hands are sticky and you suddenly realize you don't own enough clamps. So we have 9 boards plus 2 which I already made, which is 11. Holy lowly. I need to glue these up. I'm pretty sure I used every clamp in the shop, plus a few I borrowed from a neighbor 3 years ago and never returned. But eventually they were all clamped up, dripping squeeze out onto my clean floor, curing into solid panels. With the small batch cooking, I started with the heavyweights. 2 massive butcher blocks intended to be 80 centimeters by 50. These things are heavy. Moving them around makes me question why I didn't just take up knitting. Once the glue cured, I ran into a logistics problem. These boards were way too wide to fit on my jointer or planer. So I took them to the drum sander. If you don't have one, it's basically a slow-moving treadmill that sands your wood while you stand there and contemplate on your life choices. It's slow, but for panels this size, it's the only way to get them dead flat. While the big boards were slowly getting flattened, I went back to the 12 smaller boards. I ran them through the drum sander quickly, not to flatten them, but just to strip the glue. Massive safety rule here. Never run glued up panels over your jointer or planer if there's any dried glue left. Hardened wood glue is basically rock. If you hit it, it will chip your expensive casters instantly. And then you'll be crying in the corner of your nicely painted shop. Scrape it clean, sand it bare, only then does it touch the steel. Once clean, I ran the faces over my jointer. My machine has a helical cutter head. Lots of tiny carbide cutters instead of straight knives. It leaves a surface that is basically 120 grit smooth straight off the machine. It feels like cheating, but at this point in the batch, I'll take every shortcut I can get. Routed inset handles on all 14 boards. A nice, safe, easy process. But for the 2 big ones, I decided to push my luck. I wanted a juice groove. A juice groove is a woodworker's version of Russian roulette. You take a high-speed router to a perfectly finished surface and pray nothing goes wrong. And Of course, it went wrong. Fuck. I was cutting the groove for the first big board, and the router jumped. It kicked back and tore a jagged line right across the face. The room went quiet. I just stood there. I think I dissociated for a minute. That board was 80 centimeters of perfection, and now it was crap. I'm gonna have to cut it. I'll make it smaller and do it all over again because, yeah, I fucked it up. Let's cut it. But after the internal screaming stopped, I grabbed the tape measure. The gouge was near the edge. I realized I could amputate the mistake. I took it to the table saw and cut down from 80 by 50 to 65 by 40. It wasn't the monster statement piece I planned, but it was saved. For the finish, I committed to Tung Oil for the entire batch. It takes longer to cure, but it builds an incredible film. I applied the final coat to the big boards, getting ready to set up my lights for the cinematic hero shots. You know, the ones with the slow pans, the moody music, but I never got to film them. The client who ordered the first board came to pick it up. Now, funnily enough, when he ordered it, I tried to talk him out of it. I told him 80 by 50 isn't a cutting board. It's a cabinet door. I warned him it would be too big for his kitchen. But when he saw it, he explained the plan. He wasn't putting it in the kitchen. He wanted a massive serving station for his patio grill. He loved it. Then he took the smaller cut-down board, the one I ruined, and he didn't see a mistake. He said, "I'll take that one too. The big one will hold the meat, and this will be an actual cutting board." So the mistake wasn't a screw-up, it was an upsell. He bought them both on the spot. Handshake, cash, and gone. I didn't even get to take the thumbnail photo. But I still had 12 serving boards curing on the bench. Since Tung Oil takes days to harden, they stuck around long enough for me to actually film them. 8 of them sold immediately, and the rest are being wrapped up as gifts for family. Who better to appreciate them, I hope. I started this project wanting to force the wood into a complex geometry. I wanted to be a designer, but in the end, the wood won. The pivot to simple stripes, the combination of species, and even the router slip that forced a size change, it all resulted in something better than my original idea. We stress so much about perfection in this craft, but sometimes a mistake is just an opportunity to make a slightly smaller but equally expensive thing. All 14 boards are gone. The shop is empty, and Christmas is paid for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.